Man, I don't know what this last week of school or everything is going on. Friday couldn't do filming because we were in Nashville, Tennessee. And then today I've tried to film this vlog entry 6 different times and I've been interrupted all 6 times. So here's lucky number 7. Hopefully we can get it finalized. So Luke and I had the opportunity to go to Nashville, Tennessee last weekend, or this past weekend here. And the Tennessee Education Association was having their Summer Leadership Institute. And so they had reached out to us and asked to come, and we recommended that they also bring in Jessica Matthews, our activist and friend and colleague and teacher from Flint, Michigan. And so they brought the three of us in. We shared the plenary session, the speaking for it, and it was really cool to be a part of that. But one of the things that Luke and I really wanted to make sure we emphasize is, as white men, we're constantly given the mic and given space and given time for people to hear us, and our colleagues of color, our female colleagues, and particularly our female colleagues of color. Don't always get that opportunity, and so we wanted to make sure that we gave ample time of that plenary session to Jess to be able to tell the story of what's going on in Flint. She is a powerful orator and inspiring speaker in person, and so she really did a great job of getting everybody informed about what's been going on in Flint, how it's still an issue and that the problems aren't solved and people still need to be advocating for that community. And it was just really powerful to see her in action, and I'm so grateful that I got to and be a part of it and to witness her. Then we also did 3 rounds of a workshop, 90-minute workshops on the primer for anti-racism in education. And it's to go through the full primer, you really need at least 3 hours. And so we were kind of nervous about 90 minutes of what pieces to focus on. But we committed that, we're well enough versed in what we want to talk about and what we want to emphasize, that we were just going to start it and see what direction it went and what we needed to emphasize based on our audience. And it was really interesting because, 3 workshops, 10 principles of the primer. First one, we got through 7 of them, which was pretty good. And then the second, we only went through 2. And the last one, we only made it through 1. But really it is because we were being responsive to our audience. And I think about the last session was one where I was really like, oh man, I was faced with this decision. As we got into the first principle, which is listen, we did a mindful inquiry practice and had people tell one another and listen to the first time that they realized there was racial difference in their life. And so people told their stories, and then afterwards we were kind of sharing out and talking about how this process can be used for conversation and hard conversations. And somebody brought up my shirt. I was wearing a Black Lives Matter shirt. And they asked if, that's led to conversations and how would you respond to somebody who was, extremely angry about that. And then a white woman raised her hand, white educator, and said, told a story about how she felt like she was experienced racism because she wore a Blue Lives Matter shirt and walked into a Taco Bell and was refused service. Now, telling her saying that in that space, there's a few things that I think, there's a lot of things that could happen. But the things that went through my mind is I can let her have said her perspective without it being addressed and then move on with the workshop. I could have just, said, I'm sorry, I don't think that's racism. And, I think kind of shut her down. And, I didn't, that's not helpful, and it's not going to make anybody understand this work more. And so instead we decided to engage her and engage the entire group in a courageous conversation about Black Lives Matter versus Blue Lives Matter and All Lives Matter and all the different issues that come in. And so, the lack of justice when police kill black men and black women, that happens. But when people kill police, there is justice. So it made a really interesting conversation. It was really powerful to just sit in that space and experience it. And was a good lesson for me that you always need to be responsive, just like we are with our students. You need to be responsive to the teachers that you're working with as well. So overall, it was an amazing experience in Tennessee. We're really grateful to be a part of it and to come down and to have these opportunities to speak with and get to know educators all across the country. So We'll see you next time.